You spent 12 years inside a school building. 12 years of homework, exams, teachers, and report cards. They taught you algebra. They taught you the periodic table. They taught you the dates of ancient wars and the rules of grammar. But in 12 years of sitting in those classrooms, not one teacher, not one class, not one single lesson ever taught you how money actually works. Not how to invest it. Not how compound interest quietly builds fortunes over time. Not how the wealthy use completely legal strategies that most people never even know exist. Not how to build assets that generate income while you sleep. Nothing. And that gap, that enormous 12-year gap in your education, is costing you tens of thousands of dollars every single year of your adult life right now. Welcome to the Wealth Blueprint. Stay with me, because today I am going to give you the lessons your school never did. The financial education that the wealthiest people in the world received privately through mentors, through families, through hard experience that the rest of us were simply never handed. By the end of this video, you will understand more about how money actually works than most people learn in an entire lifetime. And you will have a clear starting point for what to do next. Let us start with the most fundamental question of all. Why did school never teach you this? The answer is uncomfortable, but it is important. The educational system in most countries was not designed to produce wealthy, financially independent people. It was designed to produce reliable, productive workers. People who show up on time, follow instructions, learn specific skills, and trade those skills for a salary. That system serves a specific economic function. It fills the workforce. It keeps the economy running. And there is nothing inherently evil about it. But there is a profound cost, which is that the people who go through that system without ever questioning it, without ever learning what was left out, spend their lives working inside a financial structure that was designed for someone else's benefit, not their own. The first lesson your school never taught you is the difference between an asset and a liability. It sounds simple. It is not taught anywhere. An asset is anything that puts money into your pocket. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket. A rental property that generates monthly income is an asset. A car that requires monthly payments, insurance, maintenance, and fuel is a liability. A dividend stock portfolio that pays you quarterly is an asset. An expensive watch that loses value the moment you put it on is a liability. A business that operates through systems and generates revenue whether you show up or not is an asset. A job, even a well-paying one, is not an asset, because the moment you stop working, the income stops. Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote one of the best-selling financial books of all time, has argued for decades that the primary reason most people struggle financially is not lack of income. It is that they spend their lives acquiring liabilities while mistaking them for assets. They buy a bigger house and think they are building wealth, when in reality, a house you live in takes money out of your pocket every single month through mortgage payments, taxes, insurance, and maintenance. They buy a new car every 3 years because they worked hard and believe they deserve it, when in reality that depreciating liability is quietly destroying the capital they could be using to build genuine wealth. The wealthy think about every significant purchase through this lens. Is this going to put money into my pocket or take money out? That is the question that the educational system never taught you to ask. And every year you spend not asking it is a year your financial position stays exactly where it is. The second lesson your school never taught you is how compound interest actually works, and more importantly, how it works against you just as powerfully as it works for you. Albert Einstein reportedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. Whether he actually said that or not, the mathematics behind the idea is genuinely extraordinary. Here is what compound interest looks like in your favor. If you invest $10,000 at age 25, and it grows at an average of 10% per year, by the time you reach age 65, you will have approximately $452,000. You contributed $10,000. The rest was created entirely by time and mathematics. That is the beauty of compound interest when it is working for you. Now here is what compound interest looks like when it is working against you. The average American carries approximately $6,000 in credit card debt at an interest rate of between 20 and 24% per year. At 22% interest, a $6,000 balance that you pay only the minimum on will take approximately 26 years to fully pay off, and you will pay nearly $17,000 in total, meaning you paid almost 3 times the original balance in interest alone. That is compound interest working against you, and nobody in school ever explained this to you clearly enough to make you afraid of it the way you should be. The wealthy understand this deeply. They never carry high-interest debt. They use debt strategically and exclusively to acquire assets, not to fund consumption. And they learned this not because someone sat them down in a classroom and taught them. They learned it because they were exposed to these ideas early in their lives, through environments and conversations that most people never access. The third lesson your school never taught you is how taxes work for the wealthy versus how they work for everyone else. This is the one that tends to make people genuinely angry when they fully understand it. And it should. If you earn a salary, your income is taxed before you ever see it. Federal income tax, state income tax, Social Security, Medicare depending on your income level and location. Between 25 and 40% of what you earn may disappear before it reaches your bank account. You do not have a choice. You do not have options. The money is simply gone. Now consider how the wealthiest people in the world earn their income. A significant portion of it comes not from salary, but from capital gains, the increase in value of assets they own. Long-term capital gains in most countries are taxed at a dramatically lower rate than ordinary income. The specific rates change with legislation, but the fundamental principle remains consistent. Income earned through asset appreciation is systematically taxed at lower rates than income earned through labor. On top of this, the wealthy use entirely legal strategies, depreciation on real estate, business expense deductions, retirement account structures, charitable giving vehicles that further reduce their effective tax rate to levels that most ordinary earners would find almost unbelievable. None of this is secret. None of it is illegal. All of it is publicly available information, but it is extraordinarily inaccessible to people who were never taught that it exists. The educational system teaches you how to earn a salary and pay taxes on it. It does not teach you the strategies that exist for people who have moved beyond salary income. The fourth lesson your school never taught you is the psychology of delayed gratification and why your brain is specifically designed to work against your long-term financial interests. We touched on this in a previous video, but it is worth going deeper today. Every time you receive a paycheck, you face a choice. Spend it now and experience immediate pleasure, or defer some of it and experience a larger reward later. Your brain, which was built for a world where tomorrow was never guaranteed, is wired to strongly prefer the immediate reward. This is not a character flaw. It is a biological feature. But in a modern world where wealth is built over decades, not days, that biological preference becomes a serious financial liability if you do not actively manage it. Studies consistently show that people dramatically underestimate the value of their future selves. When researchers ask people to describe their life in 10 years versus their life today, the future version feels almost like a stranger, someone they feel less obligation toward than they do toward the version of themselves that exists right now. This psychological distance is part of why saving for retirement feels so abstract, and why spending on something enjoyable today feels so concrete and urgent. The wealthy overcome this not through superior willpower, but through superior systems. They automate savings so the money moves before they ever see it. They invest in assets that make the future feel tangible, watching a portfolio grow creates a psychological connection to the future version of yourself that abstract future planning never can. They surround themselves with people who normalize long-term thinking, so delayed gratification stops feeling like sacrifice and starts feeling like standard practice. The fifth lesson your school never taught you is arguably the most powerful: the concept of financial velocity. This is the idea that money should never be sitting still. Every dollar you own should be moving, generating return, building equity, or creating opportunity. The wealthy are obsessive about this. They hate idle money. They despise savings accounts that pay near zero interest when inflation is quietly eroding the purchasing power of every dollar sitting in them. Think about what the wealthiest people you know or the wealthiest people you have read about do with their money. They are constantly deploying it into real estate that generates rental income, into businesses that generate operational cash flow, into dividend stocks that generate quarterly payments, into index funds that capture the long-term growth of the global economy. The money is always in motion. Now think about what most people do with their money. They leave it in a checking account. They spend it on things that depreciate. They save it in accounts that generate less than the rate of inflation. And then they wonder why, despite earning a respectable income for their entire working lives, they reach retirement with far less than they expected. Financial velocity is not about speculation or gambling. It is simply about never allowing your money to be idle when there are productive, relatively safe places for it to be working on your behalf. Here is what I want you to take away from everything we have covered today. Your school did not fail you because it was incompetent. It failed you because it was never designed to do what you needed it to do. It was designed to prepare you to work in an economy, not to build wealth within it. Those are two fundamentally different objectives, and understanding that difference is the beginning of financial self-education. The lessons you needed were out there. They existed in books that were never assigned to you, in conversations that happened in households you were not raised in environments that most people never access. But they are accessible now. Every concept we discussed in this video can be explored more deeply. Every principle can be applied, starting today, at any income level with any amount of money. The gap in your education is real, but it is closable, and now you are closing it. Leave a comment below and tell me which of these 5 lessons hit you hardest. The one about assets versus liabilities, compound interest, the tax system, the psychology of delayed gratification, or financial velocity. Your answer will help me know what to go deeper on in future videos. Subscribe to this channel. Hit the notification bell. We publish new content every single day. The education you were never given is right here, and we are just getting started.